Alright, so, I like tier lists a lot, and there's not much Metroid tier list content other than rating all of the games at once, which is, kinda cool, but I feel like tier lists are the coolest when you're like, zoom in a bit, and then find an element of the game that people are like, yeah, that has a lot of discussion, that's really subjective. That's the kind of thing where I feel like tier lists are best. So, every single major Metroid region in the main trilogy, I'm not including Metroid Prime Hunters, but know that most of those levels are kind of samey and blend together, except for that one ice one that it kind of does have some interesting encounters in the geometry, and it's more vertical than most Prime levels are in any other Prime game. Like, if anything, Hunters is good for verticality, and I like that about it a lot. So most of those would end up like C and B. There's no Fs. They're actually pretty decent. Speaking of levels, Chozo Ruins. Out of all the Prime levels, Prime 1 levels, I'd say this one is just average. It's not bad, it's not good. I think what holds it back is that it's just a lot of browns. Like, the gameplay and the encounters and fights through it are just okay. There's nothing objectively negative about it. It's just a level. It is a Prime level. That is all it is. There's nothing crazy special to it. And yeah, it makes sense because, like, sure, you start in Talent, or you start in the Orpheum, then go to Talent Overworld, and then, like, once you're actually exploring and, like, playing through the game, this is like the beginning of the middle, and it makes sense for it to be in C because it's just like the middle level. There's nothing special about it. Speaking of middle levels, Magma Caverns, it's just a connection to other things. And it's pretty linear compared to most other levels in Prime 1. It's just a nexus between things. It's interesting. It does what it's supposed to correctly, and I don't really think it's a negative. So it's like the same as Chozo Ruins, where it's just not generic, but it's just a level that you play through, right? And this serves as a gateway. Chozo Ruins serves as just the beginning to kind of get you up to the pace of what the bulk of the rest of the game is going to be. Like, it's the base of the formula, and this is a little bit of a change to it as it connects to other things. So Magmore, it's less than Chozo Ruins. Pirate Homeworld, I have to rate it like highly. I'm not sure I can put it into S entirely because, again, it's in Prime 3. Prime 3's primary problem is that thematically it's a little too heavy on the cinematic side, and it's too much of wasted potential in that the game without hyper mode is an infinitely better game than the game with hyper mode, because hyper mode makes the game too easy. And the 25-second auto vent limit is non-existent. It is literally not even a problem to just spam hyper mode on repeat over and over again, run through the entire game. And yes, to an extent, you can like limit your own difficulty by like not using hyper mode, but like ignoring the like poster child mechanic of the entire game to make the game more interesting is just bad game design. And that's generally how I'm gonna feel about the Prime 3 levels in general. But Pirate Homeworld is great because, one, the aesthetics are amazing. The encounters are like probably the best in the game. The enemies are fun to fight. The like sneaking around and semi-stealth part of it is great as it starts to shift towards like full-on. The invasion is going. You're guiding the demolition troopers in. You're making that final push towards the seed. The commando encounter in the train station as you're reaching the actual Leviathan is like everything about it is just fun. It's like the cinematic part of Prime 3 is kind of a detriment, but this does it well. This is a great, like, good, feel the energy. If the rest of the game was isolated and you were like, you got like rumors about these hunters you've never met before, like going missing and going corrupted, and you're trying to find a way in, and you're like, instead of like the huge set piece on Norian where you get knocked out for a month, if they just say your other encounters with Dark Samus either at the end of Prime 2 or the phase on suit in Prime 1 is how you got corrupted, and it's showing its head at the end of the trilogy rather than Dark Samus blast. Okay, I'm going too far. I'm going too far into like theory for no goddamn reason. Pirate Homeworld, cool as a cinematic. I wish this was the only cinematic part of the game, over like the crazy set pieces and crazy action and heavy on cutscenes. Like, that's what I mean by cinematic, to actually explain what I mean. In A tier, because that, I think that's what Prime 3 is going for, done well. Talon Overworld. Same as Chosen Ruins and Magmor, where it's like a good setup level, but it has a much better aesthetic and the music is significantly better. Speaking back at Pirate Homeworld, the music is the worst in Prime 3. This is the worst out of any music. It gets annoying really fast. But Talon Overworld, I can't put it higher because like the enemies you fight in Talon Overworld aren't as fun as anywhere else. Like the things you fight in Chosen Ruins and things you fight in Magmor are more interesting than what you fight in Talon. The second half of Talon Overworld has better music. This is mainly on music and vibes. That's why this is in B tier. And that's kind of what Talon Overworld is for. Phendrana Drifts, best area in the entire series. Best encounters. Okay, not great encounters. Not best in the entire franchise, but great encounters and fights overall. Best music and atmosphere, by far. The feeling as soon as you leave the elevator in Magmor, go through the little ice cavern and get to the main room of Phendrana. As really Shadow flies over and the music kicks in, it's just amazing. There's a reason why that video for the actual song has 1.8 million views when the game itself only sold 1 million copies. So you know what I mean. It is a hallmark cornerstone of the goddamn game, and there are people who don't even play Metroid that I see playing Phendrana Drifts theme in their streams as just chilled out music because it just kind of transcends the game as a whole of how good it is. Alright, Brio, probably towards the best that Prime can offer. Prime 3, I mean, specifically can offer in terms of just the jungle environment's great, the encounters are great, the platforming and verticality of it is great, the music is good, the Ice Brio side is great, the Rundas fight is amazing. There's just everything that compounds Brio is a strong level. It has the best isolation, I'd say, out of most of the Prime levels. Do I like the Pirate Homeworld more than Brio? Yes, because it's really cool lore-wise to see the Pirate Homeworld. And outside of that, if it wasn't the Pirate Homeworld and it was just random industrial center, with pirates on it, I wouldn't like it as much. Is the name or the title of it enough to change my mind on it? It's a coin flip. I'd say Brio. I can't justify. I'm gonna put Talon over. Yeah, I'll keep Talon Overworld B. Keep Brio below Talon Overworld. Elysium. Elysium, what the fuck? Elysia. I'm not the only one that makes a mistake. Don't give me shit for it. I'm gonna put it in D because building the bomb is cool. The gore fight is meh. I don't like it as much. The rooms get super repetitive. The aesthetic gets kind of annoying after a while, and the skyline zipping between stuff gets really tedious. It is such a slog going from corner to corner of this map. Even though the dropping the bomb on the Leviathan and the actual final defending the bomb thing is kind of cool, it's not worth it. It's just, if Elysia was cut from the game would be better. And if you just cut Elysia and then added more Brio, if the entire game was Brio, Prime 3 would be as good as Prime 2. If it was no hyper mode and all of it was Brio and there was more Brio content, yeah, the Prime 3 would be objectively better. This holds the game back. Aegon Wastes. It's Chozo Runes but done better. It's that start of the actual game and things are building on top of themselves. And I'm going to say this real quick, since this is the first Prime 2 level to come up in the list. The dark counterparts of the levels, so the Dark Aether version of these are tied in. So Dark Aegon Waste is included in this. Because again, the way the puzzles intertwine, there might as well be the same level, and yeah, they are. Temple Grounds. And the Great Temple is included with this because the Great Temple is really small and they're connected directly to each other, so it makes sense to keep it that way. So, this is including Dark Temple Grounds and the dark version of the Great Temple. So the Ing Hive. So this includes the final Dark Samus fight, all the energy collectors, and the Emperor Ing fight. So considering it's the finale of the game and the Dark Samus fight, and Prime 2 is my favorite game. I'll tell you right now, Prime 2 is my favorite game. That Dark Samus fight is the best boss fight in the entire series, so it has to go into high A. The reason why it's not an S Yeah, it's above Pirate Homeworld. The reason why it's not an S is because the fact that it's not that special outside of it. Like, the environment is like good, but it's not Phendrana. It's not nowhere near as good as Phendrana. It's just great encounters. The peak of boss fights in the series. It's like Emperor Ing Phase 2. No. Phase 1 and Phase 3 are amazing. So I'll leave it at that. GFS Valhalla. So this is where you get all the energy cells you picked out throughout the game, and you're putting together to like complete stuff. I'd say it's better than Elysia. It's a hub world, kind of like Magmor was, and kind of how Chozo Ruin sets up things. And it's the best fetch quest in the entire trilogy. I prefer the energy cells and having the extra one and going to Norien for the like everything else. Like going to Norien to fight the Metroid Hatcher. If you have the extra energy cell, kind of cool, but that's not included in this. It's better than Elysia. I prefer going through the Valhalla because it has great atmosphere. The story set it up in an interesting way. The purpose it serves is really cool, and the fact you return to it and unlock a little bit more of it every time. It's nice. It's like it's borderline C tier, but I would rather play through Magmor, and you can't really play through Magmor, you know what I mean? Because you're just going through it as a route to other stuff. You can't really, there's not much to it. The GFS Olympus at the start of the series, I'm gonna be honest, it's a slug. It's a pain in the ass. It's a cool setup to the game in a way, but it's like the symptoms that Prime 3 has of just too much spectacle and not enough of what like Prime is good for. It's not that good. It's just, okay, it's a low D tier, because I know there's specifically F is for a reason. Torvus Bog S. It's same thing, it's the Phendrana of Metroid Prime 2. With, I'd say, better enemy types and encounters, but Phendrana's atmosphere is far better. Like, okay. You open up the song for Torvus, you listen to the OST, and like the remix from Super Metroid. The second song in Torvus. Both of those, you're like, okay, that's nostalgic. I like that. Those are good songs. You listen to Phendrana, it is like coming home after working a 12-hour shift. Like a sigh of relief and a weight is lifted off of you. And that sounds like hyperbole, but it's legitimately how I feel when I listen to that. So we'll leave it at that. Phase, worst the franchise has to offer because it's nothing but disappointment. It is incredibly linear. Look, the beast that is in this icon, how it picks you up, it's just a secret missile test with like a fancy skin to it. The problem with Phase and that entire end stretch of Metroid Prime 3 is that the enemies look amazing, they have amazing animations, but the AI is stupid. Especially like that, watch a video of Dark Samus's fight at the end. The movesets available and how much they miss and how much she just stands and looks at you rather than fighting you is a waste. It's too easy. And the permanent hyper mode is terrible. Because it's, okay, so permanent hyper mode makes it too easy. That's a Prime 3 problem for being too easy. It's too linear, which is a problem Prime 3 has at times, okay? Like the whole cinematic looking cool, like cutscene heavy action set pieces with the Fleet Flight entering the planet. It's nice, but it's also kind of annoying because this is the billionth cutscene at this point in the goddamn thing. I hate it. Like, phases everything wrong with Prime 3. Orpheum. And started the entire trilogy for Prime. I enjoy it more than all the other three in CT. Like, I would play through Orpheum rather than I would play through Aegon, than Chozo Ruin and everything. It's, mind you, it's short, it's sweet. The Pirate Queen fight's nice, the Ridley interaction's nice, the escape sequence is nice. I like Brio more. Brio has more to offer. I lean it. I think if you told me to sit down and like kill time, I think I'd play through Brio more, because technically the way Talon Overworld is broken up into multiple sections, where you basically have to go through most of the game to get to I'm exaggerating. You have to go through Chozo Ruins to get back to Talon. The other half of Talon kind of splits it up. Playing through Brio and once long stretch, fun. I enjoy it. Phase on Mines. I think actually the best level in Prime 1. Yeah, like best enemy types. it's a little more like the mine is a little bit more boring, but once you get into the labs and the dark caverns and the Metroids that are in it, that's when it really picks up. The second half of Phazon Mines is why it's this high up. I think it's like the best gameplay wise that Prime 1 can offer. Again, nothing's beating Phendrana in terms of atmosphere and feeling and just as a complete package. Impact Crater. This is the final boss fight I'm including, and basically it's Ridley, the like red Phazon Crater, and Metroid Prime. I'd say, yeah, it's the Brio music and like how not unique, but like the Brio encounters are way more fun. I like it more than Talon and Overworld, and I like it more than the Orphan. I like it more than everything below it. Sanctuary Fortress, bro. Like, listen. On the surface, you think to yourself, yeah, it's okay. It looks okay. Okay, think about it like this: the Screw Attack, the Annihilator Beam, the Echo Visor, the Dynamo Core, Quadraxis. Like, it's the Phazon Mines of Metroid Prime 2. Alright, it's the near end game. Yeah, like literally the 3 end game levels for each of the trilogy. Yeah, I Sanctuary Fortress is better than Pirate Homeworld and is better than Phazon Mines because it has res bits are really cool. Alright, the things that like make you reboot, like they hack you and you reboot, like they are so cool. I get hit by them on purpose just to get the reboot. That is stupid. That is, if you were making players make actively the incorrect decision because it's so fucking cool, then it's amazing. All right, I liked it. It's genuinely better. The Dark Samus fight is what's keeping this at the top of A tier. If that wasn't here, I find Sanctuary Fortress as a whole and everything within it more interesting than the last boss fight in Metroid Prime 2. And finally, last and least, Nori. I'm kidding. It's like it's better than Olympus. I like it. Slightly better than Elysia, but Valhalla is more interesting. The Metroid Hatcher is an interesting fight. The non-linearity and some of those set pieces and fights and getting to interact with the hunters as allies is cool. I'll lean it against a little higher than Valhalla. Yeah, this is a good spread. I like this. Alright, so I finished editing this and I'm just going to record this bit at the end just to explain my logic because, you know, some people skip to the end of tier list videos. Alright, Phendrana and Torvus. Exact same reason why they're ass. They have great gameplay, great atmosphere, iconic music, iconic bosses, and generally it is really easy to lose track of time when you're playing through these two specific regions. You will waste as many hours as you have to spare. Alright, A tier is as good as those two, but the music is probably less iconic, so you don't get as locked in, and they have minor hiccups that are either intentional or not intentional that kind of get annoying, but overall they're still wonderful to play through and you still enjoy the run through on them. The B tiers, okay, they are like average levels, but in the case of say Orpheon, great thematics, it starts the game off perfectly. Talon Overworld for pretty much just vibes. Impact Crater for having the Ridley and Metroid Prime fight, which ends off the game, and they're great final boss fights. And Brio, because I feel like Brio is all of the normal Prime 2 stuff and all the Prime 1 stuff, like what you expect from the base game without hyper mode. Brio is probably like the best made, most refined. This is like they've spent years making this type of game. And I wish that all of Prime 3 was just an expanded Brio, but no hyper mode, except for like if you do a bunch of boss damage and you have to do the last 10th of the HP bar with hyper mode that you get with a Phazon pool in the Leviathan seat or something like that. Cool. C tier, just average, nothing special. Same as B tier, but they don't have the cool thematics or the cool music, right? And they kind of blend together. D tier is C tier, but they have incredibly annoying mechanics to them, like needing a new energy cell every time for Valhalla, the Elysium, Elysia looking the same for 99% of it, despite it's a cool thematic. It's a cool idea of having a floating city in the clouds, but it gets redundant. Olympus is boring, and Phase is everything wrong with Prime 3, and it's on top of being bad, it's a disappointment because it's incredibly linear. Hyper mode makes it way too easy, and it's permanent hyper mode, so even the repercussion doesn't even exist. There are cool enemy types, but they're too easy because, again, hyper mode. And the Dark Samus fight and the Aurora unit fight should have been reversed, where you kill the Aurora unit and then Dark Samus appears. And Dark Samus's moveset is amazing, but she stands there looking at you while you shoot her the whole time, and she doesn't use her abilities. Or she doesn't even hit you with the abilities because the game is too easy and the AI is too stupid. Alright, that's the whole tier list. I rated mostly on gameplay, plus thematics, plus music, plus everything else. Cool. Enjoy your day. I'll do another one if you like this.